Bridgewater Conservation meeting for Tuesday, September 5th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. at the McDonald Brown Conference Room is now open. The first thing to do is to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 1st.
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Steve, can you hear us? Tim, can you?
Steve, can you hear us?
I don't think so.
Steve, can you hear us?
Not yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Okay, the first one is 347 East Street, which I will read into them. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 5th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, on a request for a determination applicability at 347 East Street for parking, firewood processing, storage, log pile, and firewood pile. Okay, we're open for that.
We have an engineer. We need an engineer here.
Yeah, is anybody representing this one?
The applicant's representing themselves. for
Oh,
this
okay.
one.
Feel free to start talking about it if you want.
Well, I'm the father, and my kids have a tree service, Monkey Business Tree Care. And they've been in West Bridgewater for quite some time. They got kicked out of their location, and they're looking for a new home. We saw this lot, we thought it would be perfect.
They got kicked out because
the owner was building, they sold it to build an Amazon facility, but, so we had to move out of our rental facility. And we're looking for just a new place to call home and run our small tree service out of. We're a small family-owned one-crew company. We have 5 trucks, 4 employees, and the owner of our company is my husband. And we've always been quiet, respectful tenants. We really just come in the morning and get our trucks ready for the day, leave for the whole day, and then come and park our stuff at night and go home. So it's not a business that would have any retail traffic in and out of, and we wouldn't be operating loud equipment or anything going on continuously throughout the day on a regular basis. We do sell firewood, but it is for delivery, not for pickup, so it's just something that we
sell
would,
by the cord.
yeah, we sell by the cord, but it would be just no additional like traffic to and from, just our trucks that we park, and our employees would come in and park their vehicles and leave for the day. So we are fairly quiet, besides, you know, the noise of the trucks coming to and from. As far as the way that we would plan to operate out of there is we plan to put down millings to just flatten out a nice area so that we can just pull in and pull out. We wouldn't be paving the lot, and we wouldn't be disturbing anything existing than to what's already been cleared. As far as like the lawn and everything, we wouldn't be looking to extend the lot further back. We'd be putting a fence around the entire perimeter of the property to up to code 6 feet high, and make sure that everything followed the rules of the town, and everything that's specific to, you know, stay quiet and do what, you know, just be there and do what's required.
Okay, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows, is this the lot with the White House and the barn on it?
Yes, it is. So we would plan to leave the barn for just a storage area, just for like our chainsaws and things like that, just to keep from inside storage. And then we would be planning to demo the house and just have that as like an additional parking area, just to be able to turn our trucks around and move about through the lot.
So, yeah, they've planned to use already the area that's already lawn or the house lot. They're not planning on adding an additional septic system. It's gonna be collapsed, removed, not used anymore once the house is demoed.
And this is zoned for what now?
It's zoned for business, commercial, or residential. It's in the,
It is, okay, fine,
Yeah.
either.
What do you think of the apparent wetland line versus a real wetland line?
the wetland line that's there is pretty accurate. It's actually, DEP has it further back. It's, what they've actually said is the line is
Right.
probably pretty accurate.
And between the 50 demarcation and the property line is pre-disturbed area?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you can see kind of, if you see the cursor,
I
there's
see
a
the
tree
blue-
line that goes
the
along,
tree line,
and that's
yeah, yeah.
the line that would be used as the 50-foot no-touch.
And is that where you're gonna put the fence?
The fence would be along the perimeter, so along the side where there's a house, if you're looking at the house the way that it is now, there's a house to the right of it, so the fence would come along that whole side and then come along the front of the property and wrap around 106, so that it would be a fence completely shielded, but the woods line in the back, that wouldn't be, that wouldn't have a fence, that would just stay woods.
Okay.
I know noise is a consideration, but that's not the purview of
Right.
this
They
committee, so.
they still have, I believe it's the zoning board
Yes.
to go
Say that.
through.
We do.
That has
Yeah,
its
we're
own-
primarily concerned with,
Where the wetland line is and
line,
what they're
yeah.
gonna be doing in it.
yeah.
Again, they're not going into any of the wetland. It would be disturbance in the 50-foot.
Right.
But again, that's already all lawn currently. Or, as you can see on it, there's a main cesspool and an overflow, so it's not even a real septic system.
Would you plan on doing any type of maintenance on the trucks in there?
No, we don't. We don't have any in-house maintenance or anything. We just bring them to mechanic shops.
And is there any type of, maybe seeing what the where the wetland is? You having somebody look at it, or do you feel free that, if we
Tim's
put,
been out there.
what's that?
Tim's been out there.
I've been out there a couple
Okay,
times.
so
Feel
if you feel
pretty
free to maybe put up markers,
Right, that's
and that
one of the,
would be significant enough to,
one of the requirements would be the, every 50 feet, putting up wetland markers just to delineate where it is.
Okay.
and that you're not gonna go past it, or nobody will.
Right.
Yeah, we
Right.
have no need to.
Okay. So that you feel all right
Well,
with
yeah,
that?
but that would cut out, at least according to the plans, 1, 2, 3, 6 parking spots.
What the
Well,
wetland,
I know these are just, temporary plans, but I just kind of thinking through
right,
that.
the area along the parking area where it is, the tree line that's.
Oh, the wetland,
that-
I was going with the 50, sorry, my bad.
Right, if it's kind of the last space where the wetland says, that's kind of right where the lawn ends.
So now what about the grading and all that stuff?
Right.
What about the water and any,
Well, that's why we're doing the millings, they're a recycled road.
Yeah, there's,
and it's
Okay.
they're not
being
putting any
paved.
pavement down, so there's
It will
no
drain
right through.
stormwater system that
Okay.
needs to
We
be
have a
done.
drop of like 8 feet between the front and the back, and there's no fill going in at all?
Just the millings, just to keep it flat.
Because millings meaning chips?
No,
The-
it's recycled road.
Oh.
The road millings are
Yeah.
regraded.
Road millings.
Okay. All right.
okay.
Is there any noise that can be generated on this?
So the noise would really be our trucks coming in, coming out in the morning and then, coming back in the afternoon. And then we do have a firewood processor that we process firewood, so we would have a neat pile of logs, and then our firewood processor set up, and then it would, be a pile of firewood, and so that we run very seldomly, maybe about once a month. We'll run that, and so that does generate some noise, but it's not overly loud, nothing more than what you would hear from a truck driving down the road or something like that.
And also, it would be during business hours only.
Yeah, we would never operate, outside of any like noise ordinance or anything like that.
What are business hours?
I think it's like, isn't
so-
it 7
Yeah,
in the morning to
Monday through.
5?
So our work schedule, we're a 4-day work week, so we do Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, since we're a small business. So my husband who owns it, he does estimates Tuesdays and Saturdays, so the trucks will really be only moving in and out of there morning and night, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday typically. And our start time is usually 7 o'clock in the morning, but the trucks usually don't turn on until about 7:30. And then usually we come back anytime, depending between like 4 and 6.
And then also occasionally, if there is a major storm, we do help and try to be emergency care. If there's a tree down on someone's car or in their driveway, it could happen to be on a Saturday or a Tuesday.
But
Do-
But very seldom. And
Do you-
that's if we get an emergency call.
Do you plow snow or sand
We don't currently, but we do hope to in the future.
in the future? Okay.
And again, I would recommend anybody that, when the ZBA has the hearing, they're the ones that would set any guidelines as far as hours of operations
Okay.
or timing, and
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
the ones that would have the purview for that. So I would suggest if you have concerns, attend that meeting, and that way there they can hear the comments. But at least the applicant now is giving you a heads up, this is what their normal business hours are.
Right, we're just trying to be as open as possible, and we're actually learning as we go. So we're researching and calling Tim and the building commissioner and Tracy as much as possible to know that we're doing it the right way. And we do have, obviously, an engineer, and we also have another attorney that's gonna be helping us, you know, once we get if and when we get approved to move forward.
Are there like large logs loaded on trucks that will be returning to the, you say there's 5, they're good-sized trucks, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they range in size. So we do have a crane truck, a log truck, a chip truck with a chipper, and then a regular dump truck, and then our employees would have their vehicles. So our log truck would be the truck that we would take the good firewood logs back to the shop to keep in a neat pile to then process for firewood when we have the time.
Anything else would be chipped to make mulch.
And that goes to a wood disposal yard that's actually also in West Bridgewater, but it's close by Barrett's. So we bring most of our material to that wood waste disposal spot, which would be our wood chips, and the logs that we wouldn't be able to generate into firewood or good firewood. And then we do keep a small portion to generate for firewood, but that's not the bulk of our business. So we don't, that's why we only operate the firewood processor maybe once a month, if that, because we don't really, we're more tree service than we are firewood business.
So putting that parking there, it looks like along the side of
Yep, along,
near Jerry's house, isn't that going to sort of make water pool even more than it currently does, having that paved and all the?
We're not paving it. It's gonna be recycled road millings.
It's close.
Yeah.
and so any drainage would have to be, they can't shed it onto the abutter's property. And where the parking lot is on the plan, I will tell you, there is a setback, so it's not gonna be right on the property line, and there will be,
There's a 50-foot setback.
This is
Yeah,
a
this-
sketch, more of a
and then,
sketch.
right, so there'd be a fence, then the parking area along the
Correct.
side of that
And
property.
there's already a stone wall there, I think, right?
Yeah, but we'd have the
Would you
6-foot
leave
fence
that?
along that side, so that would stay.
That's not gonna get disturbed.
And then on
Not touching
our,
the wall.
on the other side of it, not their property side, we'd have a 6-foot high fence on
And
that
what kind
side.
of fence?
Chain
It's
link.
chain link.
It's gonna be green
Well, we're hoping, it's either gonna be green or black.
with the slats.
Yeah.
Like they're doing at the house right there?
I'm not sure.
Which house are you referring to?
Yeah.
It's like a mesh material that
Yeah.
they zip tie.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
I
it's
don't
not, we're
think
not
it's
doing a
mesh.
fabric. We're not doing fabric.
And what about like the piles? How big do the piles get and how many like
What we call-
critters and bugs and
Erica
things?
called the,
The fire chief and spoke with him, so according to the Massachusetts law, we have to stay under 20-foot height, and we have to stay at least 15 feet away from any structure or the property line. So we would stay within those parameters to make sure that we did what was required for the Massachusetts law and to keep everything, you know, for the fire safety, keep everything regulated.
so nothing's hazardous.
Well,
So-
there'll be more detail coming up later on too. This is just a,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Quick.
you're not planning on bathrooms in there or anything like that?
No.
Just,
Just
Mobile.
storage, the barn is
Yeah.
gonna stay as storage, and the house eventually is going to come down, we
Essentially-
can't use it for both residential and commercial, so we
Right.
had to decide what to do.
and you're not gonna add any more buildings?
No.
Ah,
And no expansion of the business beyond the hours?
No expansion of the business. We plan to stay our one little crew, small.
We don't wanna get too big,
Business.
cause it gets, it
It's
just-
hard to manage employees and everything as it is, so we like the size that we're at. We stay small and,
did you say you were going to chip on the property or not?
no,
Not
we don't
chip.
chip and we don't keep any mulch
Okay.
or wood chips.
It gets chipped when you're actually on the location where you're doing the
Right.
tree work,
That's
and then that truck with
Goes
full
to
of
the-
chips brings it to a location where you
yard.
dump it.
Gotcha.
The only thing that would be on the property is good quality wood that they actually could cut as firewood and then deliver it by cords.
Where's the entrance and egress on the map?
So we would have a gate opening where it says the gravel driveway that goes to the barn. And so we would have an opening there, and then we also plan.
That would be a swing gate there to drive in.
And then further down to the right,
Yep.
right there
Yep.
where Tim is, we would have a gate opening there, and that's where the trucks would pull down, and then they would kind of like loop in and then back into those little spots.
And then are they diesel, I'm assuming they're diesel trucks, right?
Yes.
So you're gonna leave them running?
What do you mean?
Well, I know diesels don't shut off typically, right? Because it's not, a lot of times trucks are kept running. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we don't have any reason to keep them on and running and wasting fuel for anything. We would just start them in the morning to be able to leave, and then when we pulled in, we would just shut them off and go home. We wouldn't keep them running for any specific reason.
yeah, the winter time, all you have to do is plug them in,
Yeah.
so they don't have to run to
Exactly.
keep them
Oh,
warmed
okay,
up.
sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Yeah.
They used to
Okay.
leave them running.
Used to leave
years
them running,
ago.
yeah, I know what you're
Okay.
saying, yeah. So,
I'm all set.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything to say in the audience?
I mean, with the water, I end up having water until mid-June, in that back right corner where they plan on putting trucks. I can't imagine it's not gonna push more over.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, as it gets going a little further on, we'll find out, because when this is all gets done, everything like that, there should be no more, if not, it will help prevent water coming on.
Put all the duplexes out back and
Yeah,
it didn't.
Oh, that's what they get?
All we got is flooded.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this hearing primarily is more of a feasibility. Do we have major objections, of which we don't, as far as I can see.
And then,
but-
like I said, it'll get down to more detail later on with the,
Yeah. More
We just
detail.
get concerned because, well, our property runs behind, but, you know, on Jerry's side too, but, you know, when they built like where your condos are there, they
Right.
told us, oh, we're not allowed to displace water and this and that, and we saw significant extra water on our property, which we already, you know, in the back.
They can't
it's
cut that
wet.
whole portion all year.
Yeah, we can't even cut the grass back there, even
Mhm.
still, right?
I
This
don't
year,
believe
because of all
anything
the
that we
rain,
would
so
do
we're just
would make
concerned
it
about the
worse.
water.
Sure, sure. But we'll see more details on the
Okay.
grading and all of that as
stormwater
this
management.
moves along. I'm sure we'll have another
Yeah,
hearing
we
here.
definitely would need
so.
grading, so it would run off to you, if anything, it would be making it more level.
I mean, it dumps right in that back corner, it's always wet.
Yeah.
On the back corner of that lot, into my lot, it's always wet.
I don't
Always.
think that anything that we would plan to do would make anything worse for you than what it already, you know, sounds like.
And
it
that's what
is.
the
I can't
engineers have
imagine.
Yeah.
to look at too, so. But feel free, like you said, to keep coming in and,
And what about the wildlife and stuff? Is there any impact on, you know, we have a lot of wildlife, deer and things that, you know, live in our neighborhood. Is there any impact with what you're doing to that?
I wouldn't anticipate that anything that we would do would be anything different than somebody living there or anybody else running a business out of any other property. I mean, we don't,
there's nobody living there now.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
There is somebody there still living there?
Yes.
Okay.
I live there right now.
Okay, you're still okay.
No wildlife would be any more than what is right there now.
Okay.
And it's not excessive at all.
Yep. Okay,
So
anybody?
the way it'll go is, the engineer will draw up formal drawings,
There will be something going on to the ZBA for formal drawing of the actual site plan.
then they'll come
And then
back,
they'll,
come back here.
there will be a, part of the process is administrative stormwater review,
Okay, back here.
back to us to review just the stormwater, but
Right,
that's,
so,
it's not as big a disturbance where they're not putting any real pavement and they're actually tearing the house down and making it
well, their
less.
concerns about water, I'm sure,
Right.
will be
Well-
more detailed in the drawings, so.
The low spot is 72, which is that back right corner.
That's right, yeah.
So it's,
Which is already in the wetlands.
Yeah.
So then, if there is a concern with water when the engineer
Right.
comes back,
we'll take a look and.
so, what can they do about that? Like drainage
We,
and stuff?
there may be a swale built to channel the water so it goes out into the wetland area along the back instead of right in that right-hand corner. Just to keep it from actually when
So
you,
theoretically, it builds up 8 feet or so, and then a swale would run it off away from you guys, would be my guess.
I don't think they're bringing it up.
Our property runs behind where.
Are you right there, or
Yeah, we
two
go
down?
behind
I'm
Jerry's
directly
house.
next door.
And then you're the next-
Yeah, we're
We're
on
behind.
at the T or the cross, we're on
I don't
the
think
upper
that-
right-hand side
I don't think so, yeah.
I don't think they're bringing it up.
very, very
8 feet.
backyard. It's all woods.
Well, whatever, you know, they're gonna bring it up.
In fact,
They're just covering it.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, whatever, we'll see it when.
yeah. So will there be another hearing that we can come and
Yes.
just get
Mhm.
more details and understand?
there will
about?
probably be a stormwater one at some point possibly.
And then we get notified on the zoning piece of it?
Yes, yep. Actually, there'll be at least 2 notifications are published. There'll be a notification out and 2 published notifications for the zoning one.
If everything goes well, what would be the soonest you would estimate it would actually start to be constructed?
It's hard to say at this point because we,
Yeah, we really don't have a clear timeline of what the next steps are with the zoning board and how soon everything gets approved and gets in the works. And so we really have to figure out first what we're looking at as far as a timeline for the zoning board meeting and what we
Yeah.
have to do to get the necessary approvals from the town. And that will determine what we can make for our closing date for the property.
yeah.
Because we are under agreement and we haven't actually closed on it yet. So I wish I had a better timeline as of right now, but kind of we're up in the air as to,
Right.
as soon as we can make it happen.
Right, that we did, that's part of our application process. We did already purchase all the mailing labels for, they go out 2 times. I think, Tim, did you say every 2 weeks? Wait 2 weeks and then
Yeah,
one
there's
goes out?
Yeah.
So that we have. We just need to get our draft approved from the building commissioner and whatever else requirements there are before that gets done. So we're just waiting for approval of everything before we go to the next step.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I think so.
Would you be bringing electrical somehow into there to power your diesel trucks up?
Well, there
There's already electricity at the barn and at the house, so we wouldn't
Need to do anything to-
doing anything additional to bring in electricity than we already do.
So it'd be above ground, not underground.
I'm not sure what you mean.
The wires would be above ground, telephone poles, stuff like that.
You're above ground right now.
They're above ground right now, so you wouldn't be putting them underground.
No, we
No.
would just be using
Existing.
existing that's there.
What's that?
And
Okay.
we've also
We're trying
had
to-
stuff stolen out of neighbors' yards. I'm wondering if you have expensive equipment next door, if that'd be another concern. I know it doesn't apply to, obviously, wetland lines, but just to bring it up.
We do plan on putting up our own security cameras inside so that if there was anything, but we will have, our fencing will be locked and secured, and so hopefully theft wouldn't be a problem, but I can only imagine that theft can be a problem anywhere with any business that has anything of value, so hopefully it doesn't happen.
We're hoping not.
But the back's gonna be fully open, right?
But that's all the wetlands and this tree, so it's not like, I mean, someone could walk in maybe, but the equipment couldn't leave. A car, a truck could not go in or out, so that's why we decided not to disturb the wetlands where it wasn't as necessary.
Okay,
So that's where we're at.
all right. Well, being on that, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make the motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll
Aye.
entertain a motion to issue a -3 determination with conditions.
And the condition being the posts.
Yep, the post
Yeah.
and the silt
The
fence
mark,
before construction or anything can happen, and
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll entertain a motion to grant a waiver to work in the 50-foot buffer zone.
How much work do you think will be in there?
It's just the existing, right?
it's gonna vary between 12 and, say, about 20 feet,
And then.
That's already,
depending.
it's
Which is
already
already
disturbed.
Disturbed.
Oh,
It's all lawn
yeah,
area currently,
yeah,
so
okay,
it's,
I'll make the motion.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Guys are all set.
Thank you.
And then,
Next
What's
step
the
all right,
would be-
next-
and once the building commissioner and the zoning have the next set of plans, that's when we'll find out about the stormwater plans and what's gonna be needed, so at that point, we will let you know about that.
So basically, what we just voted on from a wetlands perspective is we don't see any issues.
That they're not disturbing any more of the wetland than's already disturbed, it's not gonna be a negative impact on what is already there. That's what tonight's decision was for.
Thank you.
Is there
welcome.
testing that's done of the wetlands after the business goes in periodically, or?
If
Well,
there's,
Go ahead.
if there's a disturbance in it, or you start to see a decline of a wetland, then yes, we can go back, we do go back and see what's causing it. Sometimes it's more water, and sometimes it's less water. But typically, hopefully if it's designed right, there is no change.
Or creep into the,
Right.
yeah.
So, okay. Next one is 353 West Center Street, and I'll read that. Under the,
Thank you.
have a
guys.
good night. Wow.
Don't take it personally. We're just.
No, no?
No,
it's-
thank you all for coming, I think.
Yes, thank
Not
you.
at all.
We appreciate when you come. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome.
Feel free to
That's
come
what
back.
it's for.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Yeah, you can give me a call tomorrow, I'll have some paperwork ready for you.
We also have questions for Mike as well.
Right, and I'm waiting for him to come back from
Thank you
vacation
so
to get
much. I
Thank you.
appreciate your
stormwater.
help, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good,
353?
Nope, all right, so the next one is 353, but I'll read that one.
Teresa Road.
Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaws and Rules and
Are there
Regulations.
more people out there, or?
The Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September
Have a
5th,
move away.
2023, at 6:30 PM at the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, on a request for determination of applicability at 353 West Center Street for septic system upgrade. Okay,
I am not sure, I'm gonna
gonna hold off.
ask the people that are on Zoom if you're here for that hearing or if you're presenting, but we may not have an applicant here for that one.
Which one?
The
You want to hold it?
353. If you wanna just table it for now?
Yeah, we can just table it for now if you want.
There's 4 more in there for a different Maple Street or Maple Avenue
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
gonna be coming, so we'll table that one for now then, all right. So the next one will be 5 Cortlandt Way. And I'll read that one. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 5th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, on request for determination applicability at 5 Cortlandt Way for septic system upgrade. Feel free.
Yeah, Dave's gonna be here for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully very short time.
You do the short
Yeah,
straw
hopefully.
yet now?
Cortlandt Way.
Portland Way.
All right. right, feel free.
All right, good evening. My name's Dave Clennard from Collins Civil Engineering Group, and I'm here on a request for determination of applicability for a septic repair at 5 Portland Way. It's at the end of a cul-de-sac, and we have the orange line as the 50-foot buffer. The green line to the north and to the west, I believe is delineated by Brook Monroe. Those are the wetland lines. They kind of surround to the north and west the whole scope of work. We have an existing tank and cesspool in the back of the house. They're located here and here. For this one, we're going to decommission the tank, and we're going to put in a new tank. This is all gravity fed. We're going to decommission the cesspool, which has failed, and we're going to put in the septic system, which is outside of the 50-foot buffer. The closest we'll be getting with the work is 52 feet with our sill fence. That's the orange line. It starts up at Cortland Way. It goes right down the easterly property line, around the limit of work, and right back up to the house. We'll have that sill fence in place. We are installing a silt sack, which will remain in place for a catch basin right up here on Cortland Way. So this is a request for a septic repair.
Is it because it's failed and they can't?
It's a pit. It's failed pretty good, yeah.
Okay, so it's not, are they gonna sell it?
I don't know if they're gonna sell it or not. I was at the Board of Health meeting last week. They did approve it through Board of Health, just to let you know.
I've actually talked to George, and the owner's not intending to sell. It's just the fact of having to have it pumped regularly because it has failed.
Yeah, it was a catastrophic failure. I think it was kind of.
So is it a pit? No.
No, this will be a regular septic system in the back.
Oh, okay.
We're doing pipe and stone the old-fashioned way. They seem to last the longest. We've tried a lot of the different methods. The pipe and stone, when they put them back in the 70s and the 80s, they lasted till now.
Really?
Yeah. So we're going back to pipe and stone.
Interesting.
Wow.
From what?
From the new products that HDPE puts out. They're called Tex. They're supposedly H20 loading, but they're not until you get a foot of fill on top of them, so they're impossible to install. There are different types out there.
Yeah.
And that's, and there's no regulations again, saying that you can't do it, or you?
Yeah, we could do it. Title V allows us to do that.
That's good.
Yeah, the old concrete, you've seen the old
Sure,
concrete flow
yeah.
diffusers too, and this is just a simple pipe and stone.
Less expensive, I'm sure, too, isn't it?
Easy to put in, less expensive.
Shows you the old ways.
With those trays and-
Sometimes better than the new.
Most definitely. Yeah. I would prefer it anywhere, on my properties, I would prefer a pipe and stone, absolutely.
All right, I'm all set.
Anybody got anything, or? Tim? No?
I've seen the site, everything's
We are gonna put up
fine.
markers, I
Yeah.
forgot to mention that, there's gonna be 6 markers. There's a detention basin up here on Cortland, where the road drains into. We'll put them at the back of the detention basin. This is all pre-disturbed lawn, and then all where the lawn is, 50 feet apart.
Doing it the way you're doing it now, is there gonna be a mound, or there won't be a mound?
Right here will not be a mound. I see an elevation of 52, and I see an elevation of 51. There might be a foot mound or less.
And the gravity won't be a problem?
Well, gravity won't be a problem. That foot mound is just to get the fill over the system.
Okay, okay, it has nothing to do with that then, all right. Okay, so,
I have a quick question,
Yep.
side question on previously disturbed. Where do we draw the line on 5 years, 10 years on previously disturbed? In other words, if a house is built, someone puts a lawn over the wetlands, and then a new owner comes in, do you say that's
If we have
previous?
a delineation on file,
Yeah,
on record,
yeah,
then that's the one we go by.
Yeah.
I typically, if somebody all of a sudden comes through with one 4 years after the house was built and the line's different,
yeah.
then we question, why is the line different, where did it go? We've
So
got a
what's
couple
on
of those
file?
we're
Yeah.
dealing with right now anyways. that-
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
there won't be any work in the 50.
No work inside the 50.
Yep.
50-foot line here is right here.
Okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to issue a -3 determination with conditions, which is the silt fence and the posts.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And just so you know, the reason that he puts in with conditions, it's because we end up calling for the markers, and that erosion control has to be in place before work starts.
Okay.
Those are the two conditions that go on to them,
The silt
just,
tag needs to be in the catch basin.
yeah,
and
just-
those things.
All right, so I'm gonna read this one too. So the next one is 6 Teresa Road, which is, I'll read that one in. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 5th, 2023, at 6:30 PM in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, on request for determination applicability at 6 Teresa Road for detached garage, stone drive, and associated utilities. Okay.
Good evening, my name is Dave Clennett, for the record, from the Civil Engineering Group. And I'm here to try to permit a 40 by 40 garage. Now, I talked to the owner.
Big garage.
He wants to make it a little bit smaller. He initially wanted it 40 by 40, but he wants to make it maybe 38 by 36.
Oh,
But,
a little bit.
but it would be moving it away from the house and the pool. So it would remain the same distance to the wetland that's delineated there. So-
come on up and take a look, so that-
So what we have here is a wetland delineated by the Brook Monroe through the green. The yellow is the property line, the orange is the 50, and it runs along here, and the red is the 100. All work will remain outside the 50 and a lawn area. There is an existing stone drive here. It's off the property. He agrees with the neighbor to create an easement, an access easement, so we can use the stone drive. So the part of the stone drive that we'll be creating is back here inside the 100.
So whose driveway is that now?
It is
it
basically
next to
his
the neighbor?
driveway, but it's his land.
Yeah.
But we can do an access easement. It's very simple. I already talked to Hugh Hurley. We're going in front of the board tomorrow to get that accomplished. He's already verbally approved it, so we'll have that in place. We're also changing the lot line here through planning board.
Oh,
And that's to keep 16 feet for the garage and yet still have space between the pool and the house. If we cut this straight across, the garage would be right up against the pool and the deck. He wants to try to avoid that. So Hugh is well aware of what's going on here as far as this triangle piece, moving the lot line, and the neighbor, of course, is well aware of it. They're making a deal. So we can hold 16 feet off the property line. It's 15 feet, but I like to hold 16 feet just for that foot of error to start the garage. And will be 51.5 feet with the silt fence. The silt fence will start, because we're going to access everything through the drive, this existing stone drive, we'll put the silt fence right up to the road along this easement area. That way everything will maintain on the site, and we'll bring it around the work site, outside, everything's outside the 50, around the back of the proposed garage and out to the pool, which is basically at the 100. So we're putting in a little bit of stone and a garage here.
so being so big, is he planning on doing any kind of maintenance or something in there?
He wants to just store his hobbies, his cars.
Okay. Oh,
That's it.
okay. Usually, I'm not saying nothing bad, but usually if hobbies are, cars and stuff like that, and he works, depending on what kinds they work on, they might do some kind of maintenance to them.
I don't
Not
think-
saying
yeah, I don't
he
think
will or
they-
he won't, but,
Yeah, I think these are, from what I understand, these are already mint cars.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
They're for taking out on Sunday and going to a
Sure,
shop.
sure, okay.
So that's basically it. We're gonna stay outside the 50. We'll be using an already pre-disturbed area to access the site.
The tight squeeze on that bottom corner
Yeah.
to the 50, but it looks like
This would be
maybe
a garage on a
3/4
slab,
feet.
so all we're gonna do is put a slab and the grade's not gonna change back there.
No, but I mean, as far as going around, that corner. Don't see any reason why they would.
And likely, it's more likely gonna be 38 by 36, so
Yeah.
we'll lose it in the back here.
Oh, so that one right there, on that is for 40 by 40?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, all right.
It's more than likely gonna be smaller.
And it's lawn right now in that whole area?
It's all,
And this one, I can say the wetland line that was delineated pretty well matched what the developer did when they built Teresa Road subdivision. Made it a little easier to check.
How old is Teresa Road?
we'll have the conservation.
10 years?
Here at the 50, and just working all the way around to the other side of the property along the 50.
So that it's a building with a roof and runoff and stuff, do we have any of those kind of considerations?
No, I did not put any infiltration into this one. We can certainly add it. That's something that they just didn't want me to do.
Who didn't want you to? Owner?
Client in. I advised him to do it, and
I mean, that's-
I actually have it designed because I know it's going to be required, but
Because it's a pretty good size.
yeah, it is pretty good.
Basically, you could say it's a house too. That kind of, that size of a building.
I can certainly add it. It has to meet the zoning as an accessory building, so I don't think it can be accessory. I don't know what, I have never seen the architect. I don't know.
That's interesting.
If the roof infiltration is easy enough to take care of, we can certainly add it.
This is not the final.
No, this was.
Like this.
If you want the roof, we can
And it's
add the
not like it's-
infiltration to it. And
This was the applicant's decision to do that,
Well,
right? To a point.
it's the kind of, they didn't, I suggested it, they didn't want it, or we didn't want to add it at that time, so I did my job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah.
a good thing to
See,
we can make that one of the
Especially so close to
conditions.
involve into that.
So
Yeah.
we're not gonna approve it till we see it, or?
No, you can make that one of the conditions, is
Okay.
that roof infiltration
Yeah.
will be part of the,
Okay. All right.
And have to come back, so.
Yeah,
So,
that's,
can we close the hearing or just,
Are there any more trees gonna come down back there?
No more trees are coming down. Nope. It's all in a grassed area.
So,
Can I ask
I
your
grew up,
name?
Don Wood, I live at 40 Plain Street,
40 Plain Street, okay, yep.
okay? So when I grew up, that was the house I lived in was my great aunt's house, which is right across the street from Teresa. And one
Mhm.
thing that we brought up was the water table, because we wanted to put an in-ground pool in our yard, but we did some geographical analysis of the land, and the water table starts around 10 feet.
That's great for us. Water table
10
down that
feet
deep
is
is
pretty good,
actually
yeah.
a great thing.
And, but I've had water bubble up my backyard, I've had my granddaughter float across my backyard in a kayak.
What we do is, we
You
do
know,
an infiltration system with, from the downspout, and then we have an overflow for the downspout, so if water rises, because roof runoff in the state is considered clean runoff, so if the water does rise, it will have an overflow through the bottom of the downspout.
Okay.
But we will infiltrate as much as we can for as long as we can throughout the year.
Because
So that's-
my neighbors, so if you look at Teresa Road, if you look at it from my house off of Plain Street, the neighbor to my left, his yard is 6 feet above my ground line. He has 2 sump pumps that run 24/7, probably 9 months a year.
Yep.
I have a sump pump that runs from February to June. My neighbor next door to me is the same way. He just had an addition put on. He's got now 3 sump pumps that are being pumped into my yard, which
We have a slab
is a
on
discussion we
grade,
want to talk about.
no
at some
basement,
point.
yeah, slab on grade, no basement, and it doesn't, and water doesn't come out the side.
Yeah.
So water's not seeping out the grass now, we have a slab on grade, the water's not gonna be,
it's just gonna be the roof? We'll have to
Okay,
figure
it's
that
just that
one
we have a
out.
lot of water in that neighborhood that.
A lot
This
of
is
water
above
even more
ground.
everywhere.
reason
Yeah.
to put the water in the ground.
I
Yeah.
do,
Okay.
Don, I do have a the way you phrased your sentence about, are there any more trees coming down? Implies
Oh, man,
trees have
there-
already, I don't, I mean,
The number of trees that came down on that street.
oh, for the
Yeah, when
development.
it went in.
Development
Okay.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and the number of contractors that tried to put a road in and couldn't do it because of the water. And one thing that got missed was behind my stone wall, they were supposed to put pipes in to take the water table through that area, away from our yards, and puts it out into the woods. That never got done, so our yards flood. You know, with all the rain that we've had, I go out and mow my lawn, I'm mowing water.
Yeah.
You know, so I've come in here just as someone to say that, you
Yeah.
know.
What we have here is, this is a pretty massive wetland,
Mhm.
and so there's nothing that's built. The nearest house here is this house over here, and then this house on this lot this is all wetlands. It's probably 500 feet out on the other side of the wetlands.
Yeah,
So-
there's two houses back there.
Yeah, so there's nothing to discharge you about wetlands.
Yeah, no, I was just concerned the way he
Yeah.
phrased, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that we was
And-
talking
and a lot of
past from
times
the
when they build
development.
subdivisions, they do, contractors leave and they don't get it done, and that's
Mhm.
unfortunate, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Unfortunately,
chase them around.
Yeah.
Okay.
You answered my question, I was just concerned because I look at through my backyard and I look at number 6, and I look at the tree, I'm like, man, there's a river that runs between our two houses, underground, right through that area, and I was just concerned that they were gonna dig down, put a basement or something in there like that, so that's what I was concerned about.
It'd be an in-ground swimming pool in the basement.
Yeah.
That I was gonna end up with more water in my yard.
No,
The water
it's-
backs up
Yeah.
this way, and plus all the water heads towards Sear Street, which I believe is a well out that way.
Yeah.
So all
Right.
that water that's underground
No
heads
water,
that way.
all the
so-
water from this site is gonna go back to the wetlands. It drops
Okay.
actually pretty good.
Okay.
From the street to the wetlands,
No.
it drops a good 10 feet.
I was just concerned about going down and
Yep.
not staying flat.
I think as
Doing
a
flat.
board, water's always an issue in this town. So as a board, we look very closely at where's this water going with these projects? And I
Someday
think
you and I are gonna have to sit and talk then, because my neighbor took all his water from his roof, his pump, his pool, and it all comes into my.
Is it a new,
He had an addition put on, and he took all the water off his roof, had all the pipes run to my property line, and I had to put a fence up to stop all the sand and everything else from coming into my yard. I had to put up over 250 feet of fence at the cost of $3,000 to stop all his stuff from
I think it'd be
coming into my yard.
worth checking with you, going over.
Well, I
and
mean,
talking
that's,
to
you
Tim.
know, it's,
It's illegal for me to dump water on a trailer.
It is, yeah, it is.
More than what's going there, so there's an issue there.
Yeah,
that's you
I'd stop in the office.
Yeah,
Call up
stop in
and
and
say, hey, this
see me
is an issue.
sometime, and we'll have a discussion to figure
Yep.
this one out.
I got the pictures to prove everything that went on.
Sometimes things
Yeah.
like this happen that you
That's
can
right.
learn a lot
Yeah.
from something
Yeah,
else, so that's good
because,
then.
You know, so that's why I was concerned, where I have enough water, I have enough water in my yard that, you know. that
Justifiably so,
I just
sure.
didn't want to see any more come back
Of course.
from there, come here. I just soon have to keep going
Mhm.
towards Sear Street
Yeah.
as much as possible, you know, because, like I said, all my neighbors, we're running some pumps all the time.
Very legitimate
Yep.
concerns, yeah.
All right,
All right.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
so be that, then,
Thank you
I'll-
very much, sir. Appreciate the
Oh,
explanation.
you got it, yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll entertain a motion to issue a -3 determination with conditions such as the
The markers, silt fence
Markers
up,
and,
and the roof
runoff.
infiltration system.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm sure we'll see you
Thank you.
in the future.
Nice to meet you.
Have a good night.
You too.
You too, Tom. Thanks.
Let's see the next one.
Where are we now, Dave?
Next one is 99 Bryant Street, and I will read that one into the agenda. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaw and rules and regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 5th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, on request for a determination applicability at 99 Bryant Street for septic system upgrade.
Good evening, Dave Bennett, Performance Engineering. I'm here for a septic system upgrade for 99 Bryant Street. And what we have is a town river here, which is, the bank of the river is shown in blue. This is by Brooklyn Row. The green is the wetland. We have a 50-foot buffer from the wetland line. And then we have a 100-foot buffer from the wetland line. These two blue lines are the 200-foot, the 100-foot riverfront area and the 200-foot riverfront area from the town river. What we're proposing is to abandon this existing leaching field. You can see it's only 30-plus feet from the wetlands. We're going to abandon it. We're going to move the whole system outside the 50-foot buffer. This will be a, actually the whole system will be outside the 100-foot buffer in the front. This will be a pump system, so we'll decommission, or we'll remove, actually, I think, either decommission the existing tank. It will go into a 1,500-gallon 3-compartment tank into a pump system, and then we'll pump it outside the 100 up to the front of the front corner of the house. We're going to start the siltation fence here at the corner of Bryant Street, run it down the sideline, run it around the area of work, and run it back out to the 100-foot buffer. We're proposing dewatering pits if we need them, and we have a conservation post marked 3 across in the back, right at the area of disturbed grass area. So we'll have 3 across the back, right at the wood line. And this has been approved, once again, by the Board of Health last week.
So the old one, you gonna do anything with that, or just leave it?
No, it's just gonna stay in place.
Okay.
We'll abandon all the pipes going to the old one.
Okay.
Pump and fill is what it says.
Yeah. So this is, this would also be a request for determination, outside the 50, all within a grassed area, abandoning a septic system that's very close to the wetland line.
Okay. And
What's a dewatering pit?
If we run into fall or spring, the water rises underneath the earth. It doesn't necessarily, if you can dig a hole in the summertime and it's down 5 feet, you'll see a modeling area, maybe up to 2 or 3 feet. If water comes up during the spring or fall while we're putting it in, we have to pump the water out and clean it before it runs off again. So we'll surround the pit with hay bales, pump the water in, let it sheet flow out through the hay bales. And that's basically a dewatering pit.
Thank you.
You don't do that every time, do you?
No, only when we need it, and it's usually seasonal. Most of the times they're going in the summertime. The modeling may be, we may be in the modeling, but the water table's not up.
And just because I can't see too much, but the front system, what's the level of that gonna be from the street?
Okay, we got a 65 here, and we have 64, 63 here that runs down that. We have a 64, so it's gonna be about 1 foot to 1.5 foot above.
And is it grass now?
It's grass now.
Okay. And it's just gonna be back to grass?
Yeah, it's not gonna be like a noticeable mounted system. It will be a mounted system, but you'll be able to mow on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And thankfully, they had the area in the front to work with, 'cause
Yeah.
otherwise it's a tough lot to
Yeah.
You'd have
fit
to probably
everything
put,
into.
We tried over here, we had a
retaining
little bit
wall up.
more area, but it was unsuitable material. Sometimes you find clay in one area and then you find less clay in another area. And those areas can be very close together sometimes.
So what do you do in that case? Say you can't find anything, you
Have to
just,
put a retaining
now you're
wall,
gonna
wouldn't you?
ask for a variance or
Yeah,
something?
tight tank.
Tight tank, that's like your last effort. The state does not want to see a tight tank.
Yeah.
What, yeah, well, if you put up like a retaining wall,
Yeah, yeah.
The
If
system
you
had that?
dug down, way down into the water table and you found good material, you would have to bring in fill so it's 2 feet above the water table where you start your system, or 4 feet where you start to use your system. That would be inexpensive.
Yeah.
And especially if you had to dig down like 16 feet just to get to good material.
Sure.
Yeah, that can happen.
Oh, yeah. All right, so I guess saying that, then entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Then, second, do I hear?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Then I'll entertain a motion to issue a -3 determination with conditions,
Make the motion.
such as the silt fence
Second.
and posts. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Right.
All right. And next one.
You guys went on vacation, so I did a lot of these.
Kidding.
Oh, good.
So the next one is 77 Columbus Ave, and I'll read that one in. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaws, Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 5th, 2023, at 6:30 PM in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, on a request for determination applicability at 77 Columbus Ave for septic system upgrade. Okay.
All right, once again, Dave Griffin from Civil Engineering Group. This is for 77 Columbus Ave, a septic repair. The existing septic system, well, you can see the green is, you can see the green here is Brookman Rose with the wetland flag. The orange here is the 50-foot buffer, which we will remain outside of. The purple line is the 100-foot buffer, which we will be in for probably half the system, 2/3 of the system. So the existing system is right here, right inside the 50-foot buffer, not inside, but closer to the 50-foot buffer. And it's just one line of those HDPE Caltech units, which, or they could be leaching chambers here, but it has failed. So we're proposing to move the system further away from the 50. It will be 73 feet closest to the system itself, to the wetlands. We won't work within the 50. We'll have a siltation fence shown here in red, which will start at Columbus Ave, work its way down the south portion of the property, and then around the limit of work outside the 50, and then back up to the 100-foot on the other side of the house. A lot of this construction is going to have to come in from this side of the house. I believe we can access over here as well, but I think it's probably going to be accessed by both sides. And this side right here would probably keep us outside the 100, so this would be the side that if we have room. We've got 12 feet here and 13 feet there, so some of the bigger machines may have to go on the other side, but everything else can go outside the 100 on this side of the house. This is a slightly mounted system. We have an elevation of 53 here. We have a 52 here, so it's actually a foot above grade before the house. This was an issue with Board of Health, and we are going to swale water on each side of it, so the water won't go back into the deck. So we had to leave enough room between the house and the system to be able to swale everything around it, seeing how the system is a foot above the porch area or the patio deck. So that was approved by the Board of Health. This is a pump system. It's going to be into a tank, 3-compartment tank, into a pump chamber, and then up into the system. The closest the silt fence is going to get is 51 feet to the wetland area over here. I don't see why we couldn't even. I think they want enough room to bring a larger machine in here and not worry about the 12 feet. That's why they have the silt fence on that side, so they can maneuver around in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees on the narrow side, and to maneuver around them, I think, is, yeah.
Is this an older home?
Yeah, I mean, it's been there probably 70s, yeah, I was gonna say.
Interesting, the conservation markers are there.
This is one of them that we had a violation for cutting within the wetland line. We just issued the certificate of compliance recently for it, so that's why the markers are in place. And I will say, George did call me, and there was thought of pivoting the field, possibly moving it 90 degrees different, so it's, instead of going north-south, it'd be east-west, but that,
Yeah.
it would be the same basic footprint, it would still be outside of the 50, it would be just the direction that it went in.
When would you do that?
Yeah,
Is
is
it-
that because
Yeah,
of the
it would be an
pipes?
as-built once they were done with it, if that was gonna happen, but,
Yeah, it would actually make this, it's, you can see, it's not quite square, it's longer this way than it
Yeah.
is this way. It would push it,
Closer.
it might be outside the 50, but it would push it further.
back, right, but everything would be outside of
What
the
would the-
50, just
What
the
an
grade.
ordinance would be.
Is that to help with the water going back towards the house, to figure?
Yeah, we would have to maneuver this so that we'd have to keep it at least this distance away,
Yeah.
And then, of course, it would probably come very close to removing this tree back there.
Mhm.
Right, it was just something George
Yeah.
called and said, hey, is it gonna be a huge problem if this was to pivot?
Yeah, if it
And-
was to pivot.
And I
Yeah.
said, he says, we'd still be outside of the 50, it's just gonna be,
I think
it-
what he wants to try to achieve is more of a swale on the butter side to keep water from running off. That would allow us a little bit more room on that side.
Right.
I don't know how the board feels about that, if it was.
right, I told him, I said, I didn't think there was gonna be an issue either
If
way
it's
that
within
you
the
went with,
50
it was,
Still work with it, I don't see that as
Right,
an
it-
issue.
Yeah, the only thing I see changing is maybe this line here moving back 10 feet or so.
It's not a raised system,
It's a
It's about a
slightly,
foot.
it's a slightly raised system.
but not enough
Not,
to.
no.
it's not a huge mound.
It's a
It's-
mounted, it's a
yeah.
mounted system.
There'll be grass too,
What
right?
did I hear you say about taking down the tree?
There are no trees that we're gonna take down here.
This one here. you said.
This one here, if we can, if we turn it, we're gonna be about 10 feet, we're gonna be right along here. I don't know how that's gonna affect the root system. I don't know how that's gonna affect, I don't know if that tree would have to come down or not. So,
Okay,
I don't like the tree coming down.
you don't.
I think I think we could manage it so the tree doesn't come down because it is just grading, and it's grading above and not below. We're not digging into it. It's
If anything, it'll be feeding water to it.
It's a 3-to-1 slope
Make
that
it
we'll have to
grow.
work into it.
Yeah, it's not like you gotta
It-
dig down into the,
No, we're not
No.
gonna. do
It's not gonna be
At
any
that point,
different.
The system's gonna be dug down.
It's just gonna be the grade.
The system will end here,
yeah,
then it will be a 3-to-1 slope.
It's just
down
gonna
to
be
the tree.
grading
Yeah.
down to it, that,
So you're not gonna take it down?
I wouldn't see the need that they really have to. It-
Might get some roots, but.
Yeah.
I don't even know what side street that is. Usually he has them marked on there.
When you do a tree sketch, it's not to scale, is it?
No.
It's just,
No,
yeah.
but
How do
we
you
do
do
have a system where it usually says like 48-inch tree or 26-inch tree.
Oh, really?
It does say 40, or is that
That's-
the
that's-
elevation?
that's
the
the,
elevation line?
elevation line.
48.
Interesting, yeah.
And our last elevation line here is 49, so we wouldn't even come close to grading to that 48.
so Carol, would you rather have it the way it is now, or possibly turn it if they have to? It's up, I mean, if you got concerns.
I don't want to take the tree down.
Okay. I mean, put it this way, if it has to turn for some reason,
The tree must stay.
Tree stays.
and would you, if it
You could
can't,
grade around it to get
then
the
I guess
tree.
I guess that's the answer, then I guess if the tree has to come down, then you can't go that way.
That's it. That's
If you
it.
went the other
Alright.
way, you probably would,
Okay.
right?
So-
No,
It's just the way you word it.
Yeah, that's true.
no, he's saying that it shouldn't really be any problem.
I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I just didn't look at it until now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and what I see is, the only thing that's gonna happen is we're gonna have a 3-to-1 slope going down towards the tree.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I guess all good?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so I entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion to issue a -3 determination with conditions.
Make the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's that one.
What did you do, Dave, to have to spend all night with us?
Oh, George just threw this on the ground.
All right.
This afternoon. But I was familiar with all the sites because I had to do this with Board of Health as well. So,
Okay, so I'll read this one in. 80 Crescent Street. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Rules and Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 5th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, on a notice of intent at 80 Crescent Street for a septic system upgrade.
All right, my name is Dave Clark from Collins Civil Engineering Group, and this is a septic system upgrade for 80 Crescent Street. You can see here in the back of the property, on this dash line, this is where the existing field is. Most of it's inside the 50. We're gonna abandon the field, so we're not gonna do any construction there, just abandon it in place. And we're gonna move the whole system outside the 50. You can see the wetland line here delineated by Brook Monroe. We have a silt fence that's gonna surround the limit of work. It's gonna start here on Crescent Street next to the paved driveway, work its way down along the stone wall, around the limit of work. It's gonna come within 42 feet of the, because we do have some 3-to-1 grading that's gonna, just a tiny bit that's gonna be in the 50 on the grassed area. Then it's gonna come back out and around up to Crescent Street again. This will allow a lot of the machinery to come through here and along the driveway. Our stockpile area is going to be here, and that's right along the 100-foot buffer. So you see the orange is the 50, the purple is the 100, and the red is the silt fence area. This is going to be a mounted system. We have a 46 here, we have a 45 here, so it's going to be 1 foot up front, and then we have a 43 down here, and we have a 47 here, so it's going to be about 4 feet high in the back, but it's going to be, once again, a 3-to-1 slope, all grass. So we're basically abandoning the existing system inside the 50 and moving the system outside the 50 on a pre-disturbed area or grassed area.
Now, is this one going to be sold?
And we do have our conservation markers that go right along the property line. They're all in grassed areas, mowed grassed areas.
Do you know if this one's going to be sold?
I don't know if this one's going to be sold. I really never ask those questions.
I like to, like, something like with this, for some reason, it just seems like, I mean, it's going to be kind of close to everything, but it's just, we just want to make sure, like, for the next owner.
Right, but like, in terms of like all of that disturbed space that's already in the 50.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a shed, even the neighbor at 76, which we aren't even dealing with, has a shed actually in the wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I mean, we can.
Right, I mean, these are older homes that have been there.
But for the
probably
new ones that
predates
come,
the Wetland Protection Act house, so there was no regulations back then, and it just became.
I suppose with a new owner, you could pull the
Well, that's the
you
thing.
could go all the way out to the 50, right, if you wanted to.
that could be a condition that, you know, you got to pull this stuff out and leave it
Owner, yeah.
for the new owner. That's what I'm just trying to think of.
But previously disturbed is not a violation, so.
No,
right,
but it is something that we can donate.
But if there's a sensitive area or a need to protect or enhance wildlife habitat or
You could
or
do it, yeah.
something we
Maybe a
can.
zone 2 or a well protection area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Be reasonable.
Yeah.
Right.
Getting the markers in is a big help.
Yeah,
That's a really good start.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I see those markers over across from the fire station. You can see them clearly.
Mhm.
It's nice to see that, you know.
Yeah.
You can see exactly where the mowed areas and where it's wetland.
All the,
Yeah, yeah. He's not so happy, but it's nice to see it. It looks good. It looks a lot better than I thought it would,
Yeah.
just to have that grassed area.
All right. Okay, any concerns on this one?
Nope.
All right, I guess I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll entertain a motion to issue a standard order of conditions.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then I'll entertain a motion to work in the 50-foot buffer.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's all set. And the next one is going to be 15 Maple Street, so I'll read that one.
Somebody's
let me
outside-
go get some from
somebody's
the hall.
outside for that, right?
Was that my last one?
Is that your last one?
Well, you know, I forgot to give you the cards because that was,
For which one?
this
now?
is for 80.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because I've been getting
I'm-
emails from
I'm
the
sorry,
office.
but this was for an NOI, a full NOI. So that's the reason I have the cards here.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Because we didn't send you over the email ones.
Okay.
All right, I think I'm done.
Go home,
think you
Dave,
are
go
too.
home.
That's good.
Yeah, you earned the paycheck this week.
Thanks, guys.
Had a lot
Thank
done.
you.
All right, Dave.
All right, so while he's doing that, I will read this one in. 15 Maple Street. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 MGL, as amended, the West Bridgewater Wetlands Protection Bylaws, Rules and Regulations, and the West Bridgewater Comprehensive Stormwater Management Regulations, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on September 5th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, on a notice of intent at 15 Maple Street for a renovation of existing building and make necessary site improvements.
You should have it. It's got 2 pages in it. It's like what's the title of it? It's the February 2022 060 file.
Oh, yeah, got it, thank you.
Yep.
Ready?
Yeah, all set.
Good evening, my name is Everett Jacobs, PMP Consulting. I'm representing West Maple LLC. Also with me at Dan Viera, the attorney for the project, and Ryan Rosine from Goddard Consulting, the environmental people for the project. We met a while ago. I don't know if anybody was present besides Tim, but we met with the town departments upstairs just to kind of go over the project and what the client was thinking of doing. And this is the last, well, actually the only house on Maple Avenue at the end of Pleasant Street. You go all the way down Pleasant Street, it's paved, and then it dead ends and it turns into Maple Street. If you go left, there's the marijuana medical dispensary over there, and if you turn right, it's a dirt road, goes all the way down to a gate down here, and then it's all Mass Commonwealth Division of Fisheries, and that's the whole rest of the property. So this is the only house on it. It's 15 Maple Avenue. There's a residence there now. It's a paved driveway going in. There's a gravel driveway that comes across Mass Commonwealth land that they're using. The people that live there now, used to live there. Mark owns the property now. My client owns the property now. The site is also former site of a paving company. They used to run a paving operation out of here, so this area in here had a lot of machinery and gravel, and all that was back in this area. So that's the existing conditions. What the client wants to do is open up a recycling operation for asphalt, concrete, and brick. Make mulch. And so the house will stay. They're going to turn that into an office and a scale house. Traffic will enter through here, pass up here, get weighed, come up into this area. So they'll be bringing in concrete, asphalt, brick, construction materials, and they'll dump it over in this area. This whole area will be where the yard is. Then they'll sort it. They'll take out, they'll have piles for concrete, piles for brick, piles for asphalt, and then they'll take out material that's not supposed to be there. They'll have people picking through it, and there'll be dumpsters on site to put material that shouldn't be there, wood, glass, anything that's not supposed to be there, that can't go and get recycled. Then it'll go into the crushers, and Mark, can explain about that if you have any questions about you know, the crushers and how they run and how big they are, but it'll crush it down to different sizes, and then it'll go in for resale. So, there's a 3,000 square foot building proposed here. That's basically gonna be for a garage, maintenance, things of that nature. We have the requisite parking. So everything you see, this wall, this dashed line right here is going to be a concrete wall. The site's gonna come up a couple of feet, the water table. And what is in green here, that's where the existing tree line is now. So we're not disturbing anything that's not already disturbed. And actually, we're gonna replenish some areas, which Ryan can get into.
Is the red line is your 50-foot buffer?
Yes.
And the
This
orange is the
100.
100?
You got it. Yep. So all we're doing is buffer zone restoration. And that, down in here, there's piles of material. It's not very good material. It's, you know, it's got brick in it, it's got glass in it, and we talked to an NHSP, we're gonna clean that up, get the piles out of there, and as you can see right here, and we're going to put this is gonna be a turtle nesting area that we're gonna construct as per NHSP. These will be turtle nesting areas that they're gonna be constructed, but there's a big pile here of material, and a big pile here of material that we're gonna take out. This is all gonna be restored, and this is gonna be the turtle nesting area.
Was that left from the prior
Yes.
business?
Yeah, that's been there a while. Yep.
Are you planning on living in the house still, or whoever?
No, it's gonna be an office.
It's gonna be an office?
Office. This will be an office and a scale house.
Is this, what's it zoned as of right now?
Industrial.
It is industrial right
Yeah.
now?
Yep. Yep.
One of the other things that you're gonna be doing is taking the other driveway out,
Yes.
which,
There's a driveway coming through right here, and we're proposing to, and I was gonna let Ryan speak to this, bring that back to its wetland state. We've been through zoning, got zoning approval, and we've been through NHESP, and we've got, I'll let Ryan speak to that, but we've got MISA approval.
And so would you say for the property's gonna be raised a
Just
couple
about
of
2
feet?
feet.
That the whole property, or just
Just where this line is.
So,
It's a lot of fill.
Well, that's what he
Even-
does.
so even around the house?
Well, the house is higher.
The house is higher?
Yeah, the
okay.
house is at 99,
Okay,
and the rest of the site is like 96, 95.
so you just wanna bring it up to grade?
Yeah.
And is it gonna be just, crushed asphalt, or you're gonna pave it, or?
This is all that's gonna be paved.
The front part will be paved. I'll show you that now.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a
just on the
driveway here
dock.
now, so
Yeah.
that's gonna come out, and we're gonna pave this. It's gonna stop right here. There'll be Jersey barriers in here,
Okay.
and then this will be paved, parking around here for the office. Mark, there's a 2-inch water line coming down the street now, and there's a well, correct?
I don't know if there's a 2-inch, I don't think there's a water line, there was telling me there's no water line. And I've spoken-
Yeah, somebody said that though.
Someone said it, but I
At the
don't.
water department, we went through the water department as well, remember?
Yeah, I don't think there's a
There's
2-inch water
a well on site which Mark's gonna use for now, and if, things get going, he might run an 8-inch water line down the street later. He might run 3-phase power down, but right now, all the machinery that he has, Mark has a yard now in operation in Brockton. He wants to move that here, this is a much better spot. And all the machinery up there is running on generators, and he expects to do the same here until he can run 3-phase.
About the garage in terms of maintenance, we're gonna be concerned with oil drainage and tight tanks.
No, it's just basically a garage. It's not for maintaining trucks or,
You,
anything like that.
oh, you did say in the beginning, maintenance.
Well, storage, I meant to say storage. There's a garage in this thing.
How about on site, any other maintenance do you expect for the trucks or?
We do maintain, yeah, when.
I mean, in terms
The
of.
crushers and some of the equipment, we do change the oil and stuff on site. And if it breaks, we fix it on site, we have trucks with, tools and cranes on them, things like that. You guys have seen that around before.
one of our concerns would be when you change an oil, it might spill into the ground, and I don't know how you manage that necessarily, but.
I'm sure he has to have spill kits anyways, so he's got them on site if there is a leak or something to contain it.
Yes.
It's not like they're doing a regular
Major.
repair operation,
Yeah,
so
right,
it's,
body shop.
Right.
Yeah,
Just a clarifying question on the 2 foot or so raise. Is it just around that black dotted line, so it's like a berm? And then everything underneath, it's,
Probably be like
everything
concrete block.
coming up to the house will be like low and then back up
Yeah.
to the house at 99, right?
well, part of natural heritage requirement
Right. And I
was
just gonna
to
get to that.
put a
The
block
turtles-
wall around it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we gotta
To keep-
protect the
They
turtles.
actually,
Yeah. Keep
Oh.
the
The
turtles.
turtles
So
and anything
we
else
have to
from,
Put up a fence,
Yep.
which
okay.
we don't think that, that's gonna take too much maintenance. A tree
Yeah.
falls down, and they only want a fence that's 3 feet high and 2 feet into the ground, just so the turtles can't get
Right.
over it. Where the site has to come up a little bit anyways, we decided it'd be much better to put in a concrete block, just like concrete blocks all the way up.
So it's just a border, it's not actually
Yeah.
the entire lot coming up 2 feet?
No.
Okay,
no.
that's all, that was just the
Yeah,
clarification.
these
Not
are the
that it
grades
really
right
matters.
here. So
Yep.
everything's pitching back towards here.
Yep.
There's a catchment area here for the surface water, there's a little catchment area here. The only thing that's really, this detention pond in the front is for the paved area. All of it's just sheet flow right into a swale and right in. There's no drainage structures underground or anything like that. And in the front, we've got chain link fence, and there'll be a special turtle gate for that. There'll have a sweep on the bottom so the turtles can't go under it.
Do the turtles go across Maple Street?
They have, yep. And we've got, as part of this, NHESP required that Mark put
and they're already in place, and they
speed
function.
humps- speed humps every 240 feet down the road, 20-mile-an-hour speed limit signs and turtle crossing signs, all up and down the road. And believe it or not, I guess the salamanders, it's Blanding's turtle ring.
Yeah, Blanding's turtle,
And a
blue
blue
spotted
step.
salamander, and a chain borer moth, and there's one other one too.
Some rush or something, right?
Yeah, some rush, but the only one of concern at this point is the Blanding's turtle.
We can have Ryan come up and talk to you about, everything we've been through NHESP, because NHESP has basically driven this plan.
Yeah.
This is how we got to the state that we're in. Do you want to talk about that? Sure.
Good evening, Ryan Rosine with Goddard Consulting. So let me just, so for the natural heritage stuff, Ed kind of spoke about a lot of it. I just want to find the plan where we're going to do the buffer zone restoration, things like that. Do you have that plan?
I think it's towards the back end. There it is. Yep.
So, I guess I'll start, so, like Ed said, this existing gravel driveway here, we're gonna restore that to wetland. And then down here, so the whole site, this whole middle portion isn't in buffer zone or any wetland resource area. Down here is the Hockomock Swamp, and then we have wetland up here. There is the river down here, except no work has happened. This is the dark blue line here. We don't have any work happening within riverfront area. That's the 200-foot line right there.
Okay.
So the natural heritage, so we've had a lot of informal conversations with them before we actually filed the MISA checklist. And so basically what they wanted to see was, like you said, a permanent fence or barrier around the property so that turtles post-construction can't get in. Because it's gonna be a lot of gravel materials and things like that, it's very likely that turtles would come in here to try to nest. And so that was the main concern with natural heritage. So then that where the nesting creation comes into play. So like Ed said, this whole buffer zone over here into the 50 and almost up to the wetland line is heavily disturbed currently. A lot of the fill piles and just unwanted invasives and other plants just kind of popped up. So we're creating 2 sandy mounds with a sand plain grassland kind of in between to provide some cover for hatchling turtles. And then on this side, we're just doing buffer zone restoration for that. So actually just earlier, late last week, we got the no-take determination letter from Natural Heritage. I don't know if you guys.
Yes,
you
we
did
received a
of that?
copy as
Okay,
well.
Perfect. So there were just a number of conditions that they have to abide by. So one was, recording this plan as well as that letter, doing the turtle protection plan, which you already started to implement. So I had been out there, I swept the site before they did any of the, he got approval for the smaller operation right now, just in the center here. So I was out there for that. I was on site when they were doing the speed humps installation to make sure there are no turtles in the roadway or any fill going into the wetlands. And then there was a couple other things that I can get off the top of my head for the determination letter, but that's basically all set as is. And that's pretty much the natural heritage stuff.
So you're actually creating nesting areas
Yep.
down the bottom,
Yep.
the sand?
Yes, so the sand pile, so that's what turtles love to use, especially Blanding's turtles. It's gonna be a nice sunny area in the mounds, get good sun exposure. And then we'll have the grass sand plain area around that. And then just the shrub areas around it will eventually go into forest and good transition zone to the buffer.
How did you know the turtles were coming over here? Did
Well,
you see some?
No, we didn't see any. I know Mark had seen some painted turtles here in the past, but those are super common. It was all snapping turtles. But since the Hockomock Swamp is right here, and the whole site is within priority habitat, and there's a lot of Blanding's turtles in Hockomock Swamp, and so we don't know for a fact that any Blanding's turtles have come onto this site at all for nesting, because sometimes, it is possible in the past, since this was all lawn and landscape beds, basically, that they do sometimes nest in those and other areas in the state. We don't have any hard data that they did come into this area, but we're just providing good habitat for them. If, in case they're coming up this way and they say they hit this wall, and they travel around this way, they'll eventually find it. Or if they go this way, they'll eventually find it. So hopefully, we're hoping to improve the nesting habitat, because there really isn't any in this area. So providing even a little bit is really beneficial to the species.
Excellent.
What do you do to restore the wetlands up on the top there?
Yeah, so up here, so we're basically going to, the drive is probably a couple feet above the wetland grade. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out all of the existing fill that's in there, and then we're gonna put in 6 to 12 inches of wetland grade loam, wetland soils. We're gonna spec those out, and then we'll seed it and plant it with wetland vegetation.
And we've had other projects in that area on Pleasant Street specifically that have had these turtle habitats put in, and they're similar type operations or they're industrial sites. And those, not necessarily the Blanding turtle, but they have had turtles use them. And the idea is to get them to stop from going not even on this property, it could have been further upwards that they went to migrate to.
Because they'll travel a long distance before getting to a suitable site, so.
And not very fast.
Exactly. If they have to cross roads, that's the biggest threat.
It's amazing how they.
Yeah. So we're hoping to intercept them before they have to go any further.
Yeah. Nice. And you put the signs up so they know where to cross the road and.
Exactly.
It is kind of funny to put up signs for turtle crossing.
Probably
Good
just
job.
for people
Good
to
job.
see that there might be, keep your eyes open for a turtle, I think.
I
that's-
know.
yeah.
No one likes to run.
As you mentioned,
Yeah.
trees
No.
around here somewhere. What about that over here or something where the wall is, or not?
So this is all lawn right here, basically all inside the thin, so there's no trees coming down in here, so this is where the buffer zone restorations happen, is all the old fill piles and some weeds have sort of just
Clean it out.
grown up through there, and so we're just getting rid of all that and planting with all native vegetation.
Before this goes any further, maybe not tonight, but you'll have to get some kind of machinery in there to dig out the contaminated, spots down there on the bottom with the machine, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have to make sure we
Yeah,
give
well,
you permission to work in the
there's,
50.
Yeah, we have an erosion control.
Yeah, it's not shown on this one, there's another plan sheet that shows erosion control along the edge.
But that, you'll have to come back in front of us before that happens, right?
Well, I'm gonna be recommending a 53G to review the stormwater on this one anyways.
Okay, so we'll have
And
to
part of the
come
whole
back.
permitting process will be going through that and then allowing for the restoration area.
And on the road there, the road coming down into the,
This
no,
one?
not that one, the
main
regular
one,
road.
Maple Street?
That's just gravel now, right?
Yes.
Is there anything that maybe possibly, what happens if something like maybe spills out of the trucks now that we know that there's gonna
Well,
be
part
an
of natural
operation?
heritage requirement was that it stayed gravel, I
Yeah.
believe.
I understand, but
and-
is there any way you can kind of like put anything on the sides to help if anything spills, or no, is that?
Well, he also
something
has
that's
to,
not-
part of it is maintain the road,
What
is part of the
what's
requirement,
concern
so.
with spilling, what do you mean by spilling? What are we spilling?
I don't know, I'm just trying to think now that we know
If there's a truck
possibly
overloaded or something
in
and
the
it,
wintertime, or just say something happens to skid, or just like overloaded or something like that, and you turn into the thing and something,
Piece of asphalt falls out
something
of a truck or
fills,
something?
yeah, spills or something. I'm not trying to be picky or anything like that,
Yeah.
but now that with a road, you can have, also put like berms on in case something spills, so it won't go down the side. This is basically gonna be just open to,
And that was another concern from NHESP, is we can't block that road on any way. We had talked about doing something like that, and
Mhm.
they want the road to stay exactly like it is, because the turtles go up and they go down the other side.
okay, and then plus you put in the the bumps.
the speed humps
to
will
help
keep the
with
trucks from.
speed too, so, okay.
Yeah,
I can understand, it wasn't too sure that, so they did recommend to leave it open the
Yeah,
way it is, okay, okay.
they don't want to slow them down at all, they were saying. Not so much the turtles, but the salamanders when it gets really hot. On paved road or, you know, whatever, they,
No, I
Open
don't
sun
mind.
alone will
Yeah.
dry 'em out quick.
Yep.
so.
I'm all set.
Great, thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to hire 53G.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then I'll entertain a motion to continue to August the 3rd.
Do you think
I mean,
October
October
3rd?
3rd?
I mean,
What's in between? How,
we have one the 19th.
You have on the 19th?
I'm just not sure whether,
That's 2 weeks, right?
right,
can
2
get
weeks is
someone
time
in,
to
yeah.
have the review done and back. That's why I was suggesting
Well-
to go to the 3rd, but it's,
Can we put it on for the 19th, and if we're not ready, we'll just continue?
okay,
All right,
that's
let's
fine.
do that.
We
Yep.
started this like a year ago. It's been-
Yeah.
Right,
it's been a long- I'm anxious to get in.
Sure.
Yeah, there was a
Yep.
lot of hurdles to jump through.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll get them the plans tomorrow. I'll just call you, Tim, and you can.
Yep,
I'll
I'll,
to send them to. I'll get them right over to whoever's gonna do it. And, now, does Mark have to come up with some money first, or? how does that-
a check for 3,000 should cover it.
Okay,
I don't have his proposal in hand yet,
yep,
but typically that's been well enough to take care of the process.
all right.
But we can start that even without, just get the check within the next week to me and
I'll have
we'll be
a
all
team
set.
tomorrow.
It's a good idea to do it, you know, cover
Yeah,
the
yeah,
water.
no,
Yeah.
especially with the
Covers the
stormwater, I
bases,
understand.
yeah.
All right,
Okay.
good.
All right, see you the 19th.
All right, thanks, Tim, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for
See you
your time.
on the 19th.
So you wanna, instead of the, put it on the,
Put for the 19th.
okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue to the 19th.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, if we don't get, you know, the info back by then,
Right.
we'll just put it for continue.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Very much.
Hopefully
Thanks,
get you in there before the snow.
I know, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, see you later.
Take care.
All right.
All right, the next one is a continued hearing for 109 Spring Street. What's up
And
with that?
That's
Jack Peters.
Jack, yeah.
all right, and I believe we have Chris
Yep, that's correct.
presenting for 109 Spring Street.
Yep. Would you like me to share the screen?
Please.
Yes, if you can.
All right.
You should have permission.
Do we have a plan? We don't, do we? On here.
The what?
All right. Can we all see that?
It's
Yep.
coming, yep.
Okay, super. All right, so, yep, as Tim said, for the record, Chris Vandenberg with Civil Environment Consultants. I believe for our last meeting where we left it off was Tim wanted to make a site visit to the site to get a couple questions. Can you all see my cursor?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we had issue with, so you can kind of see here, if I can actually zoom in here. So we had a little issue with, this was the original delineation here, the little finger there. I ended, on site, I believe it was July 11th. So me and him, actually, he rather, came up with this more delineation, as it was a little more expansive in this whole finger area. So that is kind of, hoping to kind of close up the matter tonight based on this, revised wetland flag. You can see I have, this was, wetland flag C1. I simply moved this flag over here. And right now, these revised flags are not in the field. As part of, I'm sure of the condition, it'll be for any work moving forward, we would be required to stake out this new revised flag in the field, and that would be our anticipation here. But this is the delineation we came up with.
Big difference.
Yeah, I mean,
You're all right.
it matches what we saw when we were out there.
Yeah.
It also, it kind of explained why that finger, probably way back, wasn't really a finger, it was more of a hump.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Okay.
But
So
I
it's just,
I'm okay with the wetland line now that they've adjusted it, and
That's what we're here for.
just here for the
tonight.
revised.
yeah, it's for the ANRAD for
Okay.
approving the line.
All right.
Okay, so, well, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll entertain a motion to issue a order of resource area delineation.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're all set.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And the next one is 40 United Drive, continued.
All right, and I'll give you an update.
40 untied.
Untied.
40
Oh,
United
yeah.
Drive, they actually have gotten feedback from Natural Heritage.
Before we start,
You gotta spell it
you
correctly.
gotta spell it correctly. Carol said it's been like that for a long time. It's
Untied.
been getting to her.
Untied instead of
Untied.
united.
Just
You didn't see it.
give it a thing.
You got it?
He's got it now.
UN-TI.
I'll say it. Okay, go ahead.
This one I earned my work on, my paycheck for this meeting. Having 8 at once was a feat. I thank you guys.
But we do have progress
Mhm.
with National Heritage.
So they have gotten a report. They've working on doing a redesign because there were some considerable changes that had to happen to their original plan. So before we went further with any more reviews or any more presentations, they asked to go to the 19th. That'll give them time to make the changes so they can explain it to us and then we can have it reviewed. So,
Okay.
40 United Drive is finally moving forward.
Good. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue to September 19th.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next one is 44 South Main Street, continued.
And I can give an update on that one. They've asked for the continuance to 10/17, only because they're in the process now of zoning planning, getting all the review by them done.
Which one is that, Tim?
That's the one at the old golf,
Bunsies?
Bunsies.
Okay.
Bunky's golf area.
Yeah.
And there could be, not significant, but some fairly big changes to driveways and entrances.
Really?
So figuring all that out may change some things, so
Yeah.
they wanted to have time to get that all put together.
All right.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue to October 17th.
A motion to continue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the next is just administrative for Route 24, 28, and Route 106.
And I can explain this one. MassDOT came in, let's see, what, 12 years ago for the original order of conditions, and this is just for highway maintenance, roadway along routes 24, 28, and 106. Storm basin, catch basin cleanups, just regular repairs, but they have to have a standing order of conditions, and so they're just asking for another extension on that. They're not looking to change anything or do anything different than we've already approved. They just want to continue it.
All right.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to issue extension permit for order of conditions for 12/04/26.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next one is 58 Hartshorn Street.
And I have done the inspection, everything's in, everything's seated, everything's where it should be. So I'm
Whose is
recommending issuing the
The
certificate of
Slacks,
compliance.
Joni Shea.
Was that a septic or?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that sounds good. So I'll entertain a motion to issue the certificate of compliance.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next one is 59 Charles Street, enforcement order.
All right, the next few, we have some violations to deal with. 59 Charles Street was a trench drain that went across the front of the driveway, and it was part of the permitting process for all the houses on Charles Street because there's no street drainage on that street, so all the water runoff from the driveways in the house was going into the road and puddling at the bottom. So part of it was to put the trench drains in to prevent the runoff. Well, this homeowner decided to widen their driveway and make it a double wide instead of a single width. They took out the trench drain and never added a new trench drain when they did the paving.
Which would be a pipe or?
Actually, let me do this.
He's even got evidence.
Yeah.
And I
drove by it
to
the other day and
share screen.
it's like, you think he would have even just left the other one in.
Okay.
The other one's taken out.
So this black line across, it was a graded drain system. That just a bunch of tiled grates that sit in a trough, and all the water collects there. And then to where the pickup truck is, where the pickup truck is parked, is an underground filtration system for the roof drains and the driveway.
All right.
So it all went into an underground storage to help prevent the water from going. This was back in April, and I visited the residents and informed them what was going on.
And it has not changed since.
And nothing has changed, and that's now paved. So
So what would they have to do? Just
what they have to do
extend
is
that?
dig out that little patch of pavement and then cut a slice across the driveway and extend the trench drain to it. It was designed with enough underground storage capacity to accept the additional runoff, so it's not like they have to dig up the whole front lawn to put in more drainage.
Right.
The system will accept it and take it without causing a problem.
Because it runs down the driveway and in there.
Right now, it's just all running down the driveway to the bottom of River Street, which already floods when we get a heavy rain to begin with.
So the first step is the, who was that?
I don't know the name.
See the truck there?
Gentleman that living there runs a plumbing company, and he's running, I think he's an independent plumber, so he parks his trucks and needed more space.
As just a question. Now, nothing against Cooper paving or anything like that, but do these, any of these paving companies have any sort of hey, you have this trench here,
Yeah, no,
They
yeah.
should, I explained it to the homeowner that there's a reason it's there, and your paving company should have known why it was there.
Right.
And to just take it out and the day I was there were a wheelbarrow full of all the steel pieces for the trench drain that were just broken up and smashed and sitting there. I said there was a reason, it was part of the order of conditions and part of the permit that's recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
So it ran over there before?
No, well, it just ran across the light part of the driveway. See the dark stuff?
This part right here
Yeah.
had a steel drain in it.
You
And
think
the
they'd
paving
even have
company
left that
just
one in
took
there?
it out.
Oh, I see.
Just leave that in there and just done that other side.
Yeah.
I mean, that would at least been
And
somewhat.
part of the stormwater bylaw, if it's under 5,000 square feet of disturbance,
Yeah, no kidding.
there's no permit needed, which that was, but it's the fact that it had already a condition of it that it had to meet with a stormwater permit, that they just couldn't get rid of it. And in
Right.
fact, they
But
had to
the-
enhance it because of the stormwater bylaw.
But the paving company wouldn't have known that there was that standing order, because they
Right.
wouldn't have had it, nothing was activated because it was less than 5,000.
Yes.
Right. So it wasn't like it came before me or the
Right.
building department that there's a permit being pulled for work to be done.
So as something.
If I hadn't have driven by and caught it,
But I mean, if you would think that, like you said, if the company is not saying like that, anything wrong with them,
Yeah.
they would have said, hey,
It's just
what's
like the
going
tree
on
companies
here.
that do tree work.
Right.
It's like,
You
we should,
hope that you get a reputable one that,
So, it just as further thinking that we can deal with later or whatever, is there something that we can establish that triggers? Or are we really getting nitpicky then and we're not liked by the town, like?
it's tough because you don't need to pull a permit for it.
that's the thing,
Right.
unfortunately, if we can get that's the thing I don't like. It's this under 5,000 square
Right, 'cause
feet,
we've
you don't
dealt with
need a
that
permit.
before, right?
There should be anything to do with anything
Yep,
like that.
segmented development,
Yes,
little
that's
pieces
that
at a
one
time.
up
Right.
There should be any kind of disturbance of anything doing, there should be a permit put for no matter
Let me pull the
what.
other one up for you, Mo. Let me
For
see
no
if
matter,
that.
there should be, no matter what.
Well, they may have recourse against the paver.
Right, and that's what I told them originally when I first
So-
noticed it, because I was there within a day or two of it happening.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've got the caution tape up that it
John
was just
Cole.
fresh. And I said, you should go back to the paving company, because
Yeah.
this is something they should not have pulled out. There's a reason it's there.
But that was in April.
But I'm wondering if the homeowner may have just said
Right.
to the paving company, get
And
rid
so
of
said
it.
he's
And so
right.
it's really on him,
Yeah.
and now
Everybody
he's,
points fingers the other way, so you can tell.
but either way,
But the homeowner already knew it would,
Right, but
Well-
the homeowner
not
could
to
have
do
just said.
this, right?
right. They bought the house, it was there,
Maybe-
they wouldn't have known that the registry of deeds, that says a recorded
Right.
Right.
document that says it's supposed to be there, and there's a set of plans recorded at the registry that say it has to be there, and so.
All right.
That was an FYI, it doesn't need any
Okay.
action,
Yeah.
it's,
So they're in violation, so did they get a letter or something, and they get,
the way the bylaw's written is, it's, first one is a notification they're in violation, and you have to give them the 30 days to get it rectified. So he's officially been notified, he has 30 days. The stormwater bylaw then gives us two options. We can issue a fine, which is $150 a day, each day, with a deadline. And then from there, the third violation notice is $300 a day, going forward,
So
for
he's got
every day of
30 days,
violation.
basically, to-
If that doesn't work, we also, because of the way our bylaw was written, have the right to hire a third-party contractor to go out and fix it. Charge them an administrative fee plus the repair cost and have them pay it. If they don't, then a municipal lien goes against their property and stays on it until it's paid or the property's sold.
So we would pay the third party.
Right.
And hopefully collect.
Get our money back
Yeah.
eventually, which, that's something we're trying to figure out now, whether we set up a fund for this, if it goes to that, or does
Good
the,
point. Yeah.
does the Conservation Commission run in a deficit and then ask for money at town meeting to replenish our budget to make up what we spent to hire somebody to do
Because
this?
a lien only kicks in if when they sell the property. So-
Right,
We have a lot from Manley Street though, right?
right. So I mean, there's ways to deal with this,
Yeah.
but going forward, I think we're gonna see more violations that we're gonna have to deal with.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
some of them, this is pretty minor.
I think the fund idea is something
What
that we should
about the money
investigate.
we got from,
Yeah, Manley Street as
yeah,
well
oh,
as.
that's what you were
Right,
talking
that,
about?
there's, yeah, some of that
We
is
can
sitting
use
in,
some of that.
in our,
As well as
in-
the
basically in the Trails Fund, but we can use that if we needed to.
Boston Tavern parking
Right.
lot too, right? We got some money from them too.
all right, to speak to Lee's concern though, is there a way in which, with this 5,000 feet thing, is there a way we as West Bridgewater do a bylaw to make it different? Can we amend?
Well, the reason that they went with the 5,000 and over, because
Who's
that's a,
they?
that's a 5,000 square feet or up to 15,000 square feet is an administrative, so they have to still file for it. It's not a public hearing. If it's over 15,000 square feet, it's a public hearing, and it's a general stormwater permit, and they have to notify all the butters and the whole process. The under 5,000 was because people put pools in, they put a deck on, they
You'd
put
be
a
here
shit.
every minute.
Right, you'd be, administratively, it would be a nightmare for, it'd be like the building department would have to end up taking it over and policing it, because you'd never know. So they said a 5,000 square foot was a pretty reasonable spot to put.
And have we dealt with the segmented builds?
Right, we haven't,
Yeah.
John, before he retired, was also gonna be trying to figure out a way how we could do
Like a timeline.
a timeline
within 3
where if
years,
within like 10
something.
years, you did 1,000 here, 2,000 here, and whatever, and got up to that, how do you deal with somebody that stretches it out over time to get over the 5,000 or the 15,000 square feet?
Right.
I mean, this one was, an easy one, even though it was under 5,000, but because it had a recorded stormwater permit on it already, that they had to meet the guidelines that were set when they developed it. So any of the newer developments or newer projects, once they get recorded, they become in the system, and then they have to meet the criteria, even if there's a smaller disturbance going forward because of it.
Good. Excellent.
So it's kind of a catch-22, unfortunately.
So yet another one?
And
Yeah.
we've had a whole bunch of them. 48 Vital Ave had an enforcement letter go out. And that one, they are working, there's a building permit going in currently. Bring that one up. This one goes back whole big long way. This was fill in February that was brought in, and no erosion control or anything was put on the site. The general stormwater bylaw,
Slope down to
it
that-
slopes
that
down.
lot.
And so any disturbance over 15,000 square feet should require a general stormwater permit with a public hearing and notification to abutters. The person that bought it went and brought the fill in, hadn't done a permit, was getting ready to do a building permit, and then this past spring, the housing prices for materials went through the roof, so everything went on hold. But as you can see, this is all the erosion and everything washed out and is heading down onto the abutters' properties at the bottom.
Your screen sharing is paused so Steve can't see.
And there's no erosion control, no nothing there, and it's only been getting worse over the summer.
I think it's because your window's on.
So, let's see.
You're not like, I don't think you're specifically sharing this window with Steve.
Yes, yep.
You're not. Because it's.
Well, okay, you're right. Nope.
Yeah. Do the new share. Go to new share.
Yep. Okay, hold on, Steve. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
Let's see. There.
There you go.
So we're in touch with this individual or company or?
So the individual knew about it back in May. Nothing had been done to put, and at that point, I just wanted the erosion control in.
Yeah.
The general stormwater permit, once you start filing, get an engineer and get a septic plan, we can deal with it. That process has finally started now. I have talked to the engineer today. The engineer is getting in touch with the owner and the builder, and they've both promised me that by the end of the week, erosion control will be in place. And we will see a stormwater application coming eventually.
It's gonna be a nice week for it, so.
But took an enforcement letter with a threat of a second violation of $150 a day to get something put in place.
Yeah.
And this is for Title V?
This is gonna be a new house, a single-family home being built on the property.
What's the
And to be
address
honest
again?
with you, somebody told me about this, because you would not have known this was going on down there.
No, it's a dead-end street.
It's a dead-end street.
Yeah,
Somebody
you
actually told me
wouldn't.
about it,
Yeah.
and I went down and saw it, and I was like, oof, this is a big.
I mean, and that crater that's there, that's
that's
over 5 feet deep. I
Really?
mean, it's not a little crater, it's a gully.
I mean, it goes down like this.
Yeah.
So it's a big
So it's-
thing.
And the house and all that stuff is permitted for the build?
It hasn't yet, it's just the building department just got an application for a building permit.
I mean, awkward.
And they actually got the building permit before the septic system was even approved, because the Board of Health didn't have a septic design or approved septic plan yet, so.
Yeah.
So
been a
that one's
mess.
getting cleaned up.
And that's when it's.
And the
Cortland
only
Way.
other one is, we have another one for 6 Cortland Way, which
That's the one we looked at?
Yeah.
no, 5 was the one we approved.
Okay.
6 is across the street. And let me stop sharing that one and bring up. I think this one here.
Uh-oh.
And let me just share this.
Where is Cortland Way?
It's above East Street. I think it's past
Off East?
off East Street, and I think it's East Street, right? Yeah, East Street, I think.
And so, what this was originally was just a pile of loam, or loam and lawn clippings and stuff that was put there with the intent of having it moved behind the gentleman's house. The address had a septic system upgrade, so I knew where the wetland line was, and it was in 2016, so we didn't require markers at that time. The gentleman had a Bobcat and was going to be moving it. Well, the day that this happened, we had just gotten one of those 2.5-inch rainstorms, and then the Bobcat had a malfunction and a piece break on it, so he got stuck in all the mud and mess, and so this is what happened. I've talked to him. It is a slope that does go down to where the wetland is, so he's getting it graded, seeded, erosion control this weekend, and we'll
markers
take
put
care
in.
of it. And
Markers.
and I asked at that point, because it's not a formal filing.
How'd you ever find it? Just.
Neighbor called originally saying, why is there a pile and why is the town piling debris? And I went and looked and it wasn't the town.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I
yeah.
figured out whose property it was on, approached
Yeah.
them and said, and that's when he told me he's looking to fill in some of a low spot in his backyard that is, well, it's after the septic system was done and just needed grading, and that's what it was for. But he had a tree right beside his driveway and couldn't get there until the tree was removed to move the fill or dump it, so it got dumped on the side of the road.
And, yeah, we don't usually see these violations
Right.
unless
And-
someone.
And I wouldn't have even seen this,
Yeah.
except for I had to go to the inspection for 5 Cortland Way
Right,
for the
right,
septic
right,
system,
right.
and I turned and looked and I said,
Hmm.
the pile's gone, but now all this disturbance is happening. So,
Excellent.
again, another one, but the unpermitted work, yes, it was unpermitted. He admitted that he did, but he said, I was trying to move it, and then the Bobcat got.
Well, at least now you'll know it'll, should
Right.
be able to be fixed.
Is there any information on the Route 24 coming off the Lincoln Street project? If and when they're gonna get going on that, the state?
You mean the intersection?
Yes.
That's still,
Amazing.
yeah.
It's still amazing.
And before we go any farther, this 353 West Street that didn't come in, what do you want to do with this?
Oh, thank you. I would entertain a motion to continue that till the next meeting,
The 16th,
50.
which would be the 19th.
19th?
I'll make the
So
motion.
I'll entertain a motion to continue 353 West Center Street, September 19th.
So moved.
And I'll get in touch with them and find out.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Right.
Because I did have a couple questions on that one. The engineer, and I don't remember who asked about the dewatering pit. The engineer for this one does not have one, and it's a fairly high water table in that area, so I'm assuming they will, most likely this fall, if they're gonna do it, need one. So I wanted to question why it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And again, this is one that, because it's going through the parking lot and they're cutting through it and putting a new septic system, the amount of disturbance, I'm not sure how much.
Yeah.
It could be over the 5,000, so it may need a stormwater permit.
Right.
But on these, you can't really determine how much disturbance is there, so I'm gonna have to rely on the engineer to do it. The building inspector, part of his application process, does require it. They don't always fill the disturbance in. So a lot of times when a building permit comes through, I have to go back and ask Mike, can you ask them how much they're actually doing? And then that tells me they need a permit or not for the stormwater. And a lot of times they do, but they just haven't put it in. Some of the bigger pools now, when they're putting the pool, the decking,
Yes.
and then all the associated buildings with it,
Yeah.
we're gonna start seeing administrative permits for stormwater for those, just because they're over 5,000 square feet,
Yep.
which is
Yeah.
a big pool.
Oh, yeah. All right, anything that we got to sign?
Got a bunch of stuff for you guys to sign. And an FYI, the MAC, we can hand one. I don't know whether you guys got the fall conference for MAC. But that's coming up. And they do have a bunch of them that are offered virtual. A lot of the classes and sessions this fall.
Yeah.
I don't think I got that.
This just came out today.
Oh.
So if you
Okay.
haven't checked
Oh,
your
this
email,
is-
you might not have seen it. This was
Yeah.
and I can forward it off to everybody.
All right.
Everybody have their pens ready?
Ready.
All these?
Actually,
Oh,
there's,
shit.
nope, there's one I need to pull. And then there's some expense, one's a surety return and one's an advertising bill.
Who does these for you now? You
The what?
types these?
Me.
Do 'em. We used to have Kitty.
We don't have anybody yet.
That was the Kitty job.
Kitty used to,
Yeah.
and we actually do have another new person who just started last week upstairs, and I meet with her Thursday, Sheila, to go over
She's gonna
stuff
work.
like this that hopefully we can have her take on.
She's like being shared.
Yes, between Board of Health, Building Department, and Conservation. But she comes with a municipal town hall background.
Any, knowing about anybody on the look out for, superintendent?
They've started the interview process.
Have they started?
So there's applicants.
Yep.
Yeah, seriously, we just need stamps. I'm gonna get one made, good idea. One signed, one
we don't usually have this many.
one printed.
Yeah, there was a lot of prep work for tonight's meeting.
Poor Dave. He must have, hopefully George gave him the day off tomorrow or something. Late start or something, I don't know.
Well, is Silva doing anything? Larry Silva's
Yeah, I haven't
company?
seen him.
We just had somebody in August, I
We
think,
had-
right?
I'm getting weekly reports for the Lincoln Street project because they have to do the erosion control and stormwater inspections every week to
Yeah.
make sure it's functioning, but I think he's got a lot of big projects like that that he's dealing with.
Not so much septic.
Well, then again, until Collins Engineering came before us tonight, we haven't had many septic.
No.
It's just all of a sudden,
It was like our sale on septics.
I
yeah,
saw
the
that.
floodgates opened
I was
and,
looking at it, I'm like, geez, septic. I'm like, holy crap.
yeah.
What about, what's that, who's the guy there? What's, with the funny name there, the black guy?
Oh,
Is it, jeez, I can't even think of his name. Engineer.
he has a single.
Oh, Azu.
Azu, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's he been?
Yeah, I haven't,
I saw him, well, actually, I didn't even see him. He saw me. I forget where it was. And he goes, hey.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him like, Jesus. I go, you got a little more gray. But it was funny because I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, how you been? I'm like, I just thought he was just retired because I haven't seen anything.
yeah.
How's everything going? And I'm like, I can't remember if I asked him if he was.
Well, again, a lot of them that do the
doing
normal
stuff.
septic systems haven't had them, so I'm not sure what they're doing.
Then I'm,
Still have those.
Oh, I do have to explain the advertising one that's on there.
Oh, boy, Tim.
This one predates me. It was
Oh.
something left over that Kitty and John had with the Enterprise. And it's taken the Enterprise and myself back and forth to try to figure out where or what it was that there was a shortage on
Oh, $2,000.
an advertising. So to make it go away, I'm just gonna take it
oh,
out
for
of
the
our-
enterprise,
our budget.
43
The
bucks.
$43
Yeah.
and change. And it actually is, I believe I figured out when it happened, but I don't know which filings it happened to. They reduced the fee from 132 and change down to 115 and change.
Wow,
And somewhere in that period,
that's a shock.
somebody paid one amount and it should have been another, and so we're
let Ben out of here.
Oh, Ben. Opa. Ben's already out of here. He's been gone all.
Oh,
Ben said goodbye, like.
At the beginning of the meeting.
Before
He's
6:30.
been gone since the beginning of the meeting.
So it's being recorded, though.
Yeah.
Yep. And whenever you want to make your motion, I think that is it.
Yeah, anything else? Anybody got to say anything? Or?
I would like to thank you for your early sendings of all our agenda and everything. You sent it early, so I have a chance to look at it. I appreciate that. Thank you
Well, I
very
knew
much.
with this meeting tonight, it was big, and I said I wanted to make sure I had it out in
You
time
warned
so
us.
people could at least have an idea and look at it and see what we were.
Yeah, well, we always send it early, and I like it's nice. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Appreciate
If-
it.
I try to get it out on that Thursday or Friday before.
Yeah.
If that works, I'll keep with it. If you
That
want it earlier, and I can
No, that works.
I
like that.
give you the weekend. Okay.
All right, so on that, I'll
Thank you.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay, have a good night, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.